idols in our lives. And these are my parents, and of course they are the two idols in my life. But today I want to mainly focus on my dad and his story because it truly affected the way I view life, and I hope after I tell you guys the story, I hope it affects you guys as well. So basically my dad, he lived in the village of Tibet in India. And the thing about this village is it's fairly small. This isn't the village, it's just the general area where the village is. In fact, that's the village. These two streets make up the whole village. And to my dad, this two-street village is what so say to like us, Rancho Cucamonga is our society. To him, this two-street village was his society. And like the thing about his family was he had a huge extended family, and so like the necessities for like food and shelter were even greater. But since his society was so small and it was so povertized, they had a real struggle with living a healthy life. But the thing is, like, despite all their problems, my dad came to what he had, and that was education. And he really did push his way through every day, and he pushed his way through academics. And like as he finished high school, he got accepted into a renowned university through a merit scholarship. And these are like the conditions. So like, as you can see, it's quite bad. I mean, like they don't have dryers, so like they hang their clothes up, and like they have to really like clean themselves. And so, okay, this is like a picture showing like how like students used to study in like poverty and still do. Like they have to use candles to study. They don't have like light. They don't have lighting, but like they still push through anyways. And that's what my dad did, and he was able to be successful as a result of it. And so as I experienced these conditions for myself, and I noticed that the two conditions that really affected me that were truly painful were electricity, lack of electricity, and poor water systems. So like, as you can see, they have these candles because power outages happen almost every day, and the result of these power outages is due to the power that's shared among the states. Sometimes the states use more than their quota of power, and like that, as a result, there's not enough power for like all the states. And in order to be sufficient amount of power for like everyone, it requires farmers to pump out extra water, but that could cause any cascade of failures. So to prevent this, power plants are just automatically shut off. This results in everyday blackouts, and in order to cope up with it, they always have candles in their homes to make sure that they don't, have no light at all. And so Coal India is a state monopolist that provides the coal that's dug up to provide the electricity for India. However, right now, not enough coal is being dug up, and there hasn't been enough coal dug up for like the past how many years now? Because power goes out regularly on the regular, and it really is truly painful for people living in India. Now, another system that is poor in India is the water system. As you can see, the systems in India to get water, here we get it through pipes, but in India, the water that's supplied to homes is through a water truck. So the water truck takes the water to a big water tank, and the water tank is shared amongst the people living in the vicinity, like up or near you. But the thing about this transportation is that diseases are easily transferable through like trucks, depending on like sanity issues, and like it could cause problems. But this is how they share the water, like from the water tank. So either it's this method on the left, where they get like they manually get buckets, they go to the water tank, they get the water, and that's all the water they use for the day. So as you can see, it's not that big. It's actually really small. So like in like some areas it's like that, but then in other areas it's like here, where like there's taps leading from the water tank to your homes. But even though it does that, it's convenient. It's more convenient. But it still is difficult because you have to be wise about how much you use. Because if you use too much for just your own home, it may like waste the water tank. And then there's only two options left, and that's to either wait for the water tank for the next day, or to resort to dirty drinking resources, and that wouldn't be good for like anyone at that stage. And then another problem regarding water systems is the drainage issues. So recently, about like in the end of last year, there were severe rains, and I'm sure many of you guys remember. But the El Nino effect was the cause of that. And so here, when it started to rain, that was what it was like. It actually made our governor really happy because we went through a drought. We got a lot of water. But in other areas such as India, this trash can cause like blockage in the drainage systems that they have there. And the thing is, the government in India really does not care about like society. Like here, governments care about us, like the people. But in India, it's like they have to live under survival mode, and that's what they had to do when this flood happened. So as you can see, people like have water up to their waist. It was really difficult, not only for like everyone in India, but also for my family because my grandma was a victim of this. She was in the third floor of her apartment, and the first floor of her apartment got flooded. And the thing, it would have been okay if we had contact with her. But like I said before, the electricity sucks in India. So we didn't have contact with her at all, so we didn't know how she was doing. And my grandma is diabetic, so if she doesn't have enough food or she has too much stress in her system, it could cause her, it could cause major problems. And she is pretty old, so we weren't sure how that was going to go. That's my grandma. She's been an important part of my life ever since I was small. She's basically like a second mother to me. But she does live in India, and the thing is, like, living far away from her, it's hard enough to live far away from her, but when she's in danger and we don't know about it, it's even more difficult. But as the rain ceased, like, we realized that, like there was a chance to get her back. We didn't know if she was still, alive, but, like, there was a chance, and so my uncle and my mom's college friends, they all went in to get my grandma, and, like, they got her, but there was pictures. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it up here, but it was her after they rescued her, and, like, she was smiling in the pictures, but, I mean, I know my grandma, and I saw, like, despite she had a smile on her face, she was very upset, and she was really, like, distraught. So, the point behind me saying these stories about, like, my dad and my grandma is not to, like, say, like, India's a, like, bad place. It's not, like, I'm not trying to say that it's, like, a poor place in general. It most definitely is developing. But, like, we really should appreciate what we have now, like, the conditions we have, because areas such as India, I mean, there also are other areas around the world. But, like, this is especially me just because it's made me realize that everything we have, like, we shouldn't take it for granted. We should realize and be open to, like, the stuff happening around the world. Because not only does it affect other lives in, like, either for the better or for the worse, but, like, in my case or my family, it's always been for the worse. And it continues to be unless, changes happen. And I truly believe changes will happen. But I hope that someday I can give back to the community in India. I hope to, like, cook a meal myself and then distribute it amongst the poor people that live near the temples. There's usually about hundreds of people that live around the temples with no, like, clothing or no food, and, like, they truly just depend on donations. And I really want to give back to them just because, like, I appreciate what I have, and I want to give back to the community and to the less fortunate. So, I hope that affected you guys, and I hope you guys realize that we are truly lucky for what we have, and hopefully, like, that affects you guys and throughout your future and throughout your life.